We're ready, it's 5:30, we're ready to call the meeting, zoning and planning board of appeals meeting. We have some housekeeping matters to take care of up here. Gentlemen, does anyone need to abstain from voting?
No.
Was anyone out to any of the properties?
No.
And did anyone speak to anyone regarding any of the variance requests on the agenda?
No. No.
We need the agenda for October 21st. Everyone received that agenda? Someone like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Jim, seconded by Noel to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes from September 16, 2019, everyone had an opportunity to review those.
Yes.
And,
Move to approve. Second.
and we have a motion by Noel to approve the minutes from September 16th meeting, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So when you come up, we're gonna start calling the order of the agenda items for today. When you come up, just state your name and then address for the record so we know who's speaking and where you're located. I'm gonna open the floor for the beginning of the agenda items. Any objection to that?
No. We have to second or vote on it?
Oh, you have to vote on
A
that?
motion.
Okay.
I'll also move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jim to open the floor for the agenda items, and then that's seconded by Noel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the first item on the agenda is Robert Hallbrook, and this is a 3670 Humboldt Road address property.
Robert Hellbrook, 3670 Humboldt Road.
Okay. Just like to take a seat and state your case.
That's from you, Paul.
It's up to you.
What's that?
We're gonna start with.
Oh, okay,
giving us some-
yeah, sure. I
some
don't know if that's, is that what we've been doing?
If you want to, I can give you
Okay,
a quick
sure.
overview.
Yeah, let's
So,
do that.
Yeah, this is a property on Humboldt Road, the far east side of town, near Grandview Road. A single-family home, low-density residential property. This is 3670 here, existing single-family with a attached garage. The proposal is to, this is the existing image of the dwelling and garage. Again, kind of a plan view of that. This is the proposal to add a larger garage and still keep the breezeway, so it's not a detached garage, it's an attached garage. So the setbacks are not so much a concern from Humboldt Road here, it's the area of the garage relative to the home. It's larger than the footprint of the home, so that's the need for the variance, the dimensional variance above and beyond the footprint of the home.
Okay. All right, would you like to state your case? Paul, let's give an overview of what we're dealing with here.
That's basically what I want to do is make the garage bigger.
Okay.
As far as why is because it wouldn't really be cost effective for me to actually make it size with the house as far as the building code is. And I would have to make, as far as getting my money back in return, it's not going to cost me much more to build it a little bit bigger and keep the 3 vehicles that I have parked inside instead of parking them outside. There isn't really, so I have to pour footings, so I mean the footings is a huge cost, so
Okay.
to build it a little bit bigger isn't gonna be much more of a cost.
How big is the current garage?
It's 21 feet wide by 24 feet deep,
And this is, what's the proposal on this one?
40 feet wide, 32 feet deep on the house side and 30 feet deep on the other side. Just to step it back 2 feet so it has some, it looks nice from the front.
I think the house is about 1150 square feet, plus the breezeway.
Well, yeah, and the breezeway is actually proposed to be 2 feet deeper and 2 feet wider. It's actually 8 by 8 currently.
This is a double lot, or no, it was a double lot?
It was a double lot at one time. It is it is no longer a double lot. But it's, on the road, it's 200 feet wide.
So that's a single lot where that star is. It's no longer a double lot?
It's no longer a double lot,
Okay.
it's one continuous lot now.
Okay.
And if it was a double lot, I would be building a separate garage.
What are we comparing the square footage to? Just the house or the house in the breezeway?
The house and the breezeway house.
Yeah, it's the breezeway together. I think the house itself is like 980.
Okay.
The breezeway is technically habitable, I suppose.
Okay.
It's not a dwelling per se, but it's more on the principal side than it is the accessory side.
So we're really close.
Yeah, we're within a
close.
couple hundred feet.
Right, administratively, we can't issue a permit without
I
it
got
being
you.
right arms.
Correct.
And this is on the border outside edge of Green Bay,
Yeah,
It's near the far east side, yes.
far east side.
there's only one more street over, and it's the town of Humboldt.
Oh,
I have my own well and holding tank. I do not have city sewer or water. And there's a farm field behind me, as you can see in the photo, and a farm field in front of me.
What's the business there on the corner?
It's a car lot,
Oh,
and it is a business.
okay.
It's a use that's been there for years. It's remnant use from probably town, probably years and years ago.
Right.
so.
Okay.
My grandfather did.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I don't think I ever.
Oh, yeah, I do have a letter from my neighbor next door to the left, which would be to the west, which they also have a 4-stall garage on their house.
Okay.
That, if you can look in the picture there, the more silver part of the top of it, that's the original house. And the part right above the lettering in the center of the picture is what they added on to it.
Significantly larger.
Yes. I'm trying to get the garage to kind of fit with the neighborhood a little bit too.
Mhm.
And then I'll do siding and everything on the house to make the appeal nicer.
Mm.
House and garage.
Okay.
You can see in that picture how much bigger.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's not out of whack in appearance?
No,
Function.
no, it will not be no, it'll,
Still 86 feet on the side of the
and
garage.
it'll still be shorter than the house. And look how much, my property, actually, you can see in the photo that ends where the fence is. You kind of see the poles. So there's, even with the new garage, there's over 80 feet from the garage to my property line.
No, any questions for the applicant?
No, thanks.
Anyone else like to speak on behalf or against the variance? Sir? Go ahead.
Jeff Halbrook, 2686 Humboldt Road. Bob's contractor. I've
Okay.
been a contractor for 30 years. But anyway, part of the problem there is when they built the road across there, is there's a water problem there. And this spring, the garage actually flooded, so we want to raise it up a little bit. And again, when you rebuild it, to raise it up to make it a bit bigger is the cost effectiveness of it.
Okay.
But there is a water problem there, and that's one of the reasons we have to build it. The breezeway will be moved up also.
Okay.
And right now, it's on a floating slab, which is all listed up. And we'll put footings under there, and permanent, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
So that was one thing we mentioned.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on behalf of or against the variance? Okay. Just deliberate here.
Yeah, you know, it's, I look at this and again, it's like, it's a funny lot being so large, you know, and with the surrounding uses, it's, you know, it seems not out of line. But this is one of those situations where when I look at the breezeway and I start playing games thinking about, well, you could just make the breezeway even wider, you know, towards the front and the back of the house, and eventually it's gonna get to a size where the house and the breezeway together are gonna equal the size of the garage, and then we wouldn't be here.
We actually talked about that when we did the plans. There's windows in the basement, in front and in back of there, so we have to cover those windows up when we redid it.
Sure, and again, it's like just a mental exercise of being like, whether this makes sense or not, you know, and we could say, oh yeah, make the breezeway that big, and now it's, you know, it's like, they're already making decisions to try and maximize the cost effectiveness and efficiency of this. I don't know, I don't have And, you know, if it were 400 feet variance in terms of the square footage, but we're talking about, you know, 114.
Mhm. Agree.
I think to me, it's the location. I mean, you got a field there, a field here, you got you got the garage across the street and
Yeah.
the business over there, and just where it's located in the lot next door, which has a gap in between the double lot that used to be a double lot, I guess, and now it's a single. To me, I don't have a problem with it at all.
I don't either, since it seems to be fitting in with the existing area anyway. So I don't see a conflict there that we have to buffer that up. So I'm for the variance.
Motion.
Was that a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Jim to approve the variance that's been seconded by Noel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Your variance was granted.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. Paul, do you need anything from them? Or
Nope, just make sure to stop in for permits when you're ready.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is Roger Truckee, property on Haven Place.
Roger and Donna Truckee.
Okay.
3359 Haven Place, residential. We lived here over 40 years.
Okay, we'll have a seat if you like, and
Sure, so we're on the far west side of town, this is on
All right,
Haven
okay.
Place, just the opposite. Single-family home again, very rural area, rural residential zoning. The applicant was before the board back last year, early in 2018. Haven Place was being reconstructed, and at that time, the applicant had 3 different driveways, and he needed to come in because of the driveway that was improved here. The board granted the variance to 34 feet at the pavement line. So in 2019, Haven Place was reconstructed. This is an example of what was done during the construction. The variance was for 34, it was constructed at 41 actually. So the applicant's come back in to ask for a variance to deviate from 34 now to 41 feet in the overall width of that open, the driveway.
okay.
It's very rural, like Paul said, very narrow road. They put in 24 feet. We've only got a foot on each side of that for gravel, for shoulder, and then ditches are anywhere from 3 to 20 feet deep. The city redid the road, and the contractor couldn't do the driveway until they had the final grade on the road. So the city tore out my driveway, or the contractor did for the city, tore out the driveway, put a new culvert in. My old culvert was 34 feet. The new culvert is 46 feet. They put in a 12-foot wider culvert. The contractor got the call from the city that the grade was set for the road. The contractor came out, poured the concrete, and the only question I had, do they do a 4-inch slab with steel reinforcing rod? And they said, no, we just do a 6-inch, still just as strong. I said, fine. They come out and did the road, or the apron. The driveway is still 30 feet, but it spreads out. The apron where it flares out at the road is 41. About 2 weeks ago, the city planning job coordinator come by the house and measured the driveway and told me that it had to be cut because it was too wide. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, your permit only says 34 feet and they poured it 41. I says, I didn't know, this is the first I know. I said, what can I do about it? Nothing. We're gonna cut your driveway, we're gonna cut 7 feet off, 3 on one side, 4 on the other, as I drew there in the red. And I said, that don't make sense. Can I go before the board to have a variance? She said, no, you've had enough time, 2 weeks. I said, I didn't even know it was illegal. She says, and we might even cut it today. So I called City Hall and talked to a few people. Then I came down and talked to Paul, explained it to him. He let me put in a variance request, and I'm here today. I do have some pictures of what it looks like now. It's been a couple weeks since the whole grading done. This is, pictures of it, showing it from different angles. There's a driveway just down, actually across the street from me at 3316 and 3305. The driveway on Haven is actually 55 feet 3 inches. That's this one. And there's another in a brand-new subdivision, not too far from me. They have curb and gutter and a blacktop road, and their driveway is 42 feet and a curb, just for an example. My driveway is still gonna be gravel, 46 feet wide, even if they cut 7 feet of concrete off. So nothing's gonna really change except 7 feet of concrete versus 7 feet of gravel. And that's why I'm here asking for the variance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, that's a good description, thank you. Paul, what was so there was a 34-foot distance in the approved variance.
Right, so for a driveway width for a single family, it's 25 max at the property line. Would come through like a neck and then flare out to a max of 30 at the curb line or pavement
Right.
line. So here, the variance was from 30 to 34. Now, they've constructed it wider than that, so he's come back again to ask for something even wider at the
Sure.
pavement line or curb line.
Okay, so the 34 would have been down where the 41 is.
Correct, yes. So it's 7 feet wider than it was.
This is, all lots are out here are 7 acres, or mine is only 400 feet I have on the road. Most of the other lots around me are 7 acres. In this whole area where they resurfaced the road, there's only 18 homes, and it's about not quite a half mile long, right to the end of, just beyond me, to the left is the city limits up there. 2 lots to the left is the end of the city. There'll never be sewer and water out here, because they would have to go west and go through Oneida. Everybody's on either a sand point, a well, and all have septics.
So this isn't really contiguous to like a neighborhood or that type of thing?
It is a neighborhood, but it's more estate size.
Right,
type of
right,
lots, yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's limited because of the sewer service.
Okay.
So was 24 is allowed, he got 30.
30 is the max at the pavement
Oh,
line.
30, then
And
you
then
got-
34 is what the board granted.
Okay,
And a permit was issued at that point, but again, it was constructed larger, 7 feet larger, wider than that.
so the contractor just did it wrong, or what happened?
The city came out and marked
Uh-huh,
the driveway.
okay.
The grader come by and took all the paint off. My driveway was done before everybody else's and the road because it's concrete. The rest of them, the road was done and then their aprons were put in, blacked up. But I had a concrete one, so it had to be done before. And I think, this is my own thought, what happened was, the marks were gone, so we laid out a driveway according to how the gravel was, because the new culvert was 46 feet. My old one was 34. So I think he looked at the driveway and just made it appropriate, because the 30 was there, and then he just come out. There was no rocks or landscaping, that's all after everything's done. It was just all gravel, 46 feet wide.
And there used to be 3 driveways on this property?
I think there still are.
There
3
still
lots.
is.
There still is.
I had a permit for one. The other one, the city put in for, I could reach my septic tank, so the truck could get back to the back of the
Oh.
lot. Because the ditches are all 5 feet to 20 feet. And the road is, where my septic is, on the right-hand side, that's below a hill. My driveway is actually on top of the hill, and then where it says 2475, I believe, that's at least 10, 12 feet down a hill. And then there's a ditch right at the corner where the green is on the right. That ditch is about 15, 18 feet there, with a culvert that goes underneath the road to the north.
Had you put the driveway in that was approved?
It was done many years ago.
No, the one that we talked about a year ago or something like that. Had you poured that and put that in, and then it was removed when the street improvements were made?
Yes.
So this is the second time you've poured the path
Right.
between the driveway and the...
The contractor for the city poured it.
Oh, the contractor for the city.
MCC hired Martell as a subcontractor. The MCC was a road contractor, the general contractor for the whole road.
The city contractor poured the road,
It was part of a construction project this past year.
but the contractor for the city poured the aprons?
Yes, it's part of the project, yes.
So the city's contractor did that? Why, okay.
Correct, yes.
All right, I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Do you have any questions, Tommy?
I mean, those are all the questions I was gonna ask.
Tommy come lately. He can't.
Sorry, by the way, to everybody, I apologize for being late.
No problem.
Effective.
Sure, are you done? And do you want to present
Yes,
any more?
unless you don't got any questions.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes.
You'd like to
Yeah,
speak on behalf of?
gentlemen, thank you. I'm Jesse Burnett, I'm the district alderman for the area. I am quite familiar with this road, with this situation. Haven was to be reconstructed last year. There were a lot of issues that prevented that. It was done this year. Mr. Truckee, one thing he didn't mention that I think for me is, I'm speaking in favor of approval, by the way,
Okay.
but he has a large recreational vehicle, as do many members of the neighborhood. And because it's such a narrow street and this is kind of a hilly area, and that's the city limits to Hobart, I view it as a safety issue for Mr. Truckee. He's trying to back out a large recreational vehicle because of the narrow part of the road. Those extra feet really would be a benefit for safety moving in and out of there. It is a rural area. His current drive is aesthetically pleasing. I think just to remove it, it's just, my opinion, pointless. I don't think it causes any harm to grant the variance.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against the variance request?
There's somebody back there.
I'm Scott Trummel, live at 3394 Haven, kitty corner across from Roger. It doesn't affect us in the neighborhood at all. If anything, it makes it safer for us. He's got a big fifth wheel that allows him to turn in and out without spending all the time on the road. As a neighbor that looks at it, drives by it, absolutely no problem. It actually helps us.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Dave Camps, 3397 Haven, just west of Roger, same side of the street. Is this gonna stop any more BS coming down the road where this engineer or whatever, or the city comes and says, well, your driveway's too wide, we wanna narrow it down? Because like my driveway, Scott's driveway, we're like 350, 400 feet deep. And I'm a retired city fireman, and I know from driving emergency vehicles that what we got now, they'd be hard pressed to turn a rig up those driveways we got to get to the house, and they're not gonna wanna lay 400 feet of hose to try to put out a hose fire or whatever. Was this ever considered in this great scheme of things, is what I was wondering about? Roger's one thing, he's a little closer to the road, but most of us, we got extra deep driveways, we're way back off the main drag.
Well, we have to consider each individual case.
And I just wanna know that, and they narrowed mine down a few feet, and I even got a hard time driving in, I got a longer truck, I do construction now that I'm retired. And half the time, my back end of my truck, I hit the frickin' ditch and, you know, when I'm pulling in, it's just that narrow, cause the street is that narrow. But a big rig, a fire department truck would have a hard time getting in without having to jockey around and so on and so forth. So there's a safety factor there too, but
Are you supporting the variance request?
yes, I am.
Sir?
And I just don't wanna come down the road, like next week, all of a sudden they're cutting my driveway down somewhere, cause I'm over this
Okay.
code, whatever, all of us are, what they wanna have,
Right,
so.
okay.
I
that
recommend you have
helps.
a conversation with your alderperson about that.
Just give me a call, I can explain.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak for or against? Okay. What do you gentlemen think of the request?
I think, you know, Alderman Burnett's comments make a lot of sense to me. I think the fact that this was done by the city's own contractor and you know, that, I don't know, it's a done deal. Let's not add more cost to undoing it. We can grant that variance now and put this to bed. I think I'd be in favor of doing that.
I agree, it sounds like we'd have a condition, because of the geometry of the road and the narrowness of the road, it sounds like what I'm hearing is if we took those out, there'd be tire prints there in the gravel where there used to be concrete.
Right.
So I don't see that being as safe as having concrete there, so I'm in favor of the variance also.
Yeah, I mean, the center, whoever's know, is, the city was the one that kind of installed it incorrectly. It shouldn't flow back onto the property owner, in my opinion, you know, so let's just get it fixed and get it done and have some great feedback with the contractors.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement then.
Move to approve the variances requested.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Noel to approve the variance request, seconded by Tommy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You have your variance.
Thank you very much. I do have one question. Will the city contact the MCC contractor and tell him not to cut my driveway? Because he got a letter from the city engineering
Oh,
to cut all driveways.
I'll talk to Jennifer tomorrow and
Thank you very
follow up
much.
with her.
Thanks, Paul, appreciate everything. And thank the board.
take care.
Yep.
All right, next on the agenda, we have Mr. Brian Rasmussen on behalf of Aurora Daycare regarding the 2783 Greenbrier Road property. Paul? Okay, see, Paul's gonna give a little overview. Okay, turn it over to you then.
So, 2783 Greenbrier, Greenbrier Road, this is the village of Bellevue down here in the south, I-43, and Baycare Hospital, Aurora Baycare Hospital is here. This property was acquired by Baycare, former farmstead site, so there's a single-family residence here. There's some barns, outbuildings that were used years ago for farming operations. More recently, it's been used as a laydown yard for construction projects that are going on the Baycare campus. You can kind of see, at one point, this was all vegetated, but these areas were used as laydown for material for construction. So we approved a temporary site plan back in 2015 to allow that to occur. Following up on our inspections, we found out that these areas still remain like they are today. Now, these areas have been rehabilitated, so to speak. They've been planted, seeded. But during that construction process, they put up a temporary fence here for security reasons. Over time, that fence became more permanent in nature, went from a temporary to more of a permanent fence. So the issue before you is the retention of that fence. So there's a fence that runs, I think, pretty much around the full length of the frontage of the property. It's treated as a commercial property. An 8-foot high fence is permitted. The problem is that that fence is right on top of the right-of-way, basically. So it encroaches within the front yard setback. When you get into the front yard setback, then you've got that 3, 4, 5 rule as far as it being transparent. So the idea here is they want to keep the fence as it is. It presents a problem because there is an existing driveway here as well. There's supposed to be vision triangles that are maintained. For obviously people coming and going from that doesn't create an issue. So at this point, it's an 8-foot fence. It's got slats in it, I believe. So the request is to keep it as is, as a permanent fence.
Okay.
So my name is Tom Caters. I'm with ISG, and I have Mr. Richard Miller. Brian Rasmussen.
Work for Aurora Baycare Medical
Aurora.
Center.
So, as Paul alluded to, is back in 2015, they had purchased the property and there were a couple of large projects that had gone on. So they utilized that property extensively for the laydown area, the traffic around the pond, that sort of thing. This summer, with the inspection happening, Aurora has jumped on and made a lot of that area green space, so brought it back to where it was supposed to be. At the time of all that construction, to be a good neighbor, and of course, during construction, you want to have the safety of all the workers, lay down and whatnot. They put up a very nice 8-foot chain link fence. Aurora this past spring decided that, being back in 2015, they utilized this property extensively. They don't use it quite as much, but they realize that there's a good use of this land, because as you traverse around the hospital, there's really no space that's not visible, clearly visible from all aspects. So this property became a good opportunity to have small areas for landscaping needs, extra stone, that sort of thing. They're small projects. They have ongoing projects on the property, on the premises, for small laydown areas. So they realize that this still has a lot of value. At some point, this property does plan on being fully developed and turning into, part of the hospital more so. They've upgraded the roof shingles here in the past year.
Toward the barn.
The barn is gone now, but they still are requesting some of the gravelled area behind. But a majority of it is back to grass already. So with that, realizing that it's still being used for some laydown area, you guys could answer more as how often this actually is utilized, this entrance and exit.
Sure, absolutely. Right now, we have a few of the contractors that are on site on a daily basis, once or twice, 3 times a day, that entrance is used. And one of the big reasons why that we feel that appropriately, the way it's stated now, we did put the slats in the fence, so it is actually aesthetically pleasing in our opinion for that current use of what we have. And like Tom said, we're currently evaluating and look at ways we can make our space even greener and make it more appeasing, not only to the neighbors, but to the city as well.
We, when we purchased the property, I think it's about 4 years ago, the property was in disarray, tall grass,
And they've
weeds.
seen that one, yes.
The buildings are in very poor condition with the exception of the house, and we've invested quite a bit of money in beautifying that site. And we are respectful of our neighbors on Greenbrier. And they have nice homes over there, and we want to be respectful of them, and that was one of the reasons that we were looking at that 8-foot high fence, so they don't have to. I mean, you can go over there anytime, it's nice and neat and clean, but it's not residential lawn and trees and grass and bushes. The whole area now, the whole area where the barn was, that's all green space now, down here. This barn was torn down like 2 weeks ago. We had a raising permit for that. That was removed, and that's all green space now in there. The triangle along I-41, that's all green space again. And it's really just the barnyard that has gravel in it now.
So with this, as Paul had mentioned, is that there is the ability to have a fence in the front yard. It's just the height is the concern. So you are able to have a fence up to the property line. It just is to be 3 foot rather than 8. Being that the fence is there, realizing that the back side of the hospital, this is loading dock, this is cooling towers. There's other things on the hospital that are going on that this is going to help with the screening of as well. There is no, there's not residential anywhere on the north side. It really is, the next step is the Highway 43 corridors right there. So the small print one is then for the vision triangle that came to light after we had applied for the variance, but Paul felt that it was something that we could include in there, was the vision triangle. And essentially what I provided was it's a Ford Explorer from a police, to be a law enforcement Ford Explorer that I have placed there, yes. That I have placed there. So it has full ability even to have a Ford Explorer between the fence and the curb line, is really what I wanted to show.
Show that there's viewing.
That there's there is viewing, viewability. You're not just running right out onto the street. There is space there.
So just so I'm tracking real quick, because I think I missed a piece. That fence doesn't go through the driveway. It has the ability to open
But
and
there's a
close.
gate.
Correct.
Yep,
Does
There's
the
a
gate
there's a
swing
slide-
open,
a
or it just
slide
kind of
gate.
slides through this way? Swings
back.
out towards the street, or swings back inside?
Inside. Inside for sure.
Inside.
Yeah.
Got it.
As
So
you
if
come,
I'm-
as you go by, it's swinging in.
Got it. So if I'm going out,
Good
I
question.
stop, they open the gate
I
towards
mean, we
me.
have, you know,
Got it, okay.
not that we have anything that valuable there, but we were very concerned with the barn being there, that, and no, you know, having free access from the street to that somebody go in there and throw a match on that thing, and so we tore it down.
How long until the future use of using it for the
3
hospital?
years,
3 years?
21,
Okay. And what would it be used for? You know?
possibly. We don't know the exact use, but office space and parking probably.
Okay. Okay.
So for you, for the use as of right now, the fence is more protectionary and visual, hide some stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
long-term, that
I would
fence
say
would not be
three-
something that's included in
no.
long-term plans.
3
Fence
years from
goes
now, if we
away.
develop this property, the fence would go away.
Yeah.
Copy that, okay.
Because you have that existing berm, that landscape berm that runs along there, that would continue. And that would continue right to the corridor.
Got it.
We've done a lot of different options with it, with moving the pond around that's existing in here, to try and help things. It shows up a little bit on the small print, but, yeah, we've done a lot of different options with that area. So,
And Paul, for this to, I always like to think, okay, to comply, what, their only option is
Take-
3 feet?
Take 5 feet off the fence.
Or if they went, it's just because it's street facing, it's 3 feet no matter what? Or would they come in and
Come
it
back.
could be 8 feet?
25 feet.
But that puts it almost to the front porch of the house,
This one right here?
the house.
Or this house?
Well,
Oh,
yes,
sorry.
closest.
And bring it right up to the house just about.
Is this building still here or is this building gone?
That shed is there, the barn is gone, this one is gone. Wait, okay, this is, where's the house? The barn,
This is the house here?
it's the darker toned one, the darker
That's
toned
ours.
one.
This is gone?
That is gone, yes. That's the trailers that existed for the projects. So
Oh.
those haven't been
yeah,
there.
this barn is
yeah,
gone.
those are
right
gone.
here. This
Those
barn
haven't
is
been
gone.
there
Trailers at the
for a
time.
while.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it really looks like the big print. You can see those,
This one?
yeah, the trailers aren't there anymore.
Yep, those are
So
just
this
temporary
represents the green
construction.
space that you've added now?
Mhm.
Correct.
So what stop, this house is in use, what stops, like what's the obstacle for you in terms of making that comply and going right in front of the house, since that's not, you just kind of lose some land, but then it complies, you can be 8 feet?
It's already constructed. It's been there, because the fence has been there since 2015 as part of the projects. They didn't realize, the Aurora staff didn't realize that it was something that would be an issue,
Got it.
you know, because it had been there so long and it was not something that was permitted by myself. It was permitted by another civil group, so.
Bolton,
Okay.
Grace.
So they went ahead, wanting to be a better neighbor, and rather than having an open chain link fence, they wanted to put slats in. So it's real nice, dark green. I hope you guys received that in your, agenda, so, nice, solid green slatted fence, so.
Any other questions for the
No.
applicant?
The fence, the slats actually went into the existing fence, right? So you got.
Mhm.
Correct.
So,
Actually, weave in
They're green,
each side,
yeah.
okay.
that way.
Literally manually put in each one of those.
Yeah.
Yes, it was labor
I mean,
intensive.
it is a,
I happened to go by and when they were doing it, and I was amazed.
I think that the
Yeah.
neighbors appreciate what we've done. I can't officially speak to that, but we had other issues when we added on to the hospital. When we put that large cooling tower there, they had some concerns about the noise from the cooling tower. We looked at a lot of different options, and through our engineering consultant and so forth, we're able to quiet to their satisfaction the noise on the cooling tower. So we do try to be very good neighbors with their, I mean, they got nice homes on Greenbrier, and we try to be very sensitive to what we're doing.
Very good. Any other questions?
Let me just ask again, this would be, the fence would be there as long as you're using this as like a lay-down area, storage area. If you're gonna redevelop this into something else, you would address that fence.
It would disappear.
Fence
Yes,
goes
it would
away.
disappear.
Because we do,
Okay.
there'd be a huge land improvement there, then
Correct.
we wouldn't put it there anymore.
Okay.
And the other thing we were looking at, tell me if I'm wrong at all, but we're looking at making this land contiguous to the hospital property.
That'll have to happen when the development occurs.
Right.
Currently, it still sits as a separate parcel.
Separate address.
Yep, separate address. So, yes, that definitely is part of that development when that happens, sooner rather than later. That'll all be combined up in.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for your time.
Do you guys want these back, or?
No, that's okay.
Would
You can use them for whatever you like.
anyone like to speak for or against the variance that's been requested here?
Paul, there's no encroachment of the fence itself across the property line, is there? You said encroachment, but I think we were talking more about the setback, not necessarily about the lot.
Right, I hope that it's on private property. I can't verify that, but,
Okay. And are we able to say, grant an approval, but make it time bound?
Yeah, that's
So we
what
could
I'm-
say, we could grant a 5-year extension or something? I know they're talking about 3 years, but if we said 5 years, that would more than cover their time horizon
And then they could come back
if
if
they
for
come
some
back,
reason they haven't
if
developed
they
it.
haven't successfully developed it,
And
we
give
can
an
have this
extra 2
conversation
years.
again.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
I would move approval of the variances requested, subject to an expiration 5 years from today.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the variance made by Mr. Halverson, seconded by Mr. Hutchinson, with the caveat they added a 5-year time extension on the business. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You've got your variance.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, on to number 4. We have Michael and Christine Casperson at the 720 Chicago Street property.
I'm Michael Casperson, I live at 720 Chicago. My wife was unable to attend due to a family situation that she's dealing with, but we wanted to come out and talk with you and let you see what we're looking to do here.
Very good, have a seat if you like, and
Thank you.
all of you want to
Sure.
give a little
Yeah. 720 is a single-family home, southwest corner of Chicago. It's kind of an odd-shaped lot. This is where the home is here. The proposal is to add a detached garage here. So there's a driveway coming off of Chicago and Jackson. The problem here is the setbacks. Corner requires 55-foot setback from both Chicago and Jackson. There's no other dimensional issues that we're aware of at this point, so it's just simply setbacks for the detached structure.
Okay.
55-foot setback.
Right.
And the lot's not even that wide.
53.75. I spoke to the neighbor that's over there, and she decided that it would be very inconvenient for her to have my garage in her house.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Casperson, would you like to speak on behalf of your request here?
Yes, I've lived in this house for over 30 years. I've got a picture here, it doesn't really show it too well. But the original driveway, the original driveway you can see runs along the house into the backyard. Now that's at the bottom of the hill that goes up on Jackson Street and beyond. And I have a lot of water that comes flowing down there. In fact, a recent some of the recent weather has created a virtual river down that driveway. Many years I dig a trench down that gravel driveway just to get the water out of the backyard. There used to be a house located on this empty lot. It was a three-family rental property. It had caught on fire and burned down. And the wife and I decided we were going to attempt to buy that house and build a garage. There was an old garage in the backyard which we took down because it was about to fall down. And it had some illegal electrical hookups that it just wasn't acceptable. In 2011, we did acquire that empty lot, and we've been proceeding on a path to construct a garage there. And I don't know if you guys want to see these pictures. So the proposed project entails building a 30 by 32.75 foot foundation, which is under the footprint of the house. And this includes the installation of required footings to support a future detached garage structure. The plan calls for 2 driveway entrance points, one on Chicago Street, which would be a 20 by 25, and then the Jackson Street would be a 20 by 10 foot. In addition, a 40 by 30 foot flatwork section will connect the garage foundation to the house entrance. That's going to be a raised foundation because that's going to take care of that water flow coming through. I am having the mini storm sewer system put in. The city just completed the construction along Chicago Street connecting it. And my plumber is going to come in, I think this week, to do the run a drain back towards the back of the house so that any water that comes down is going to be caught in that drain and then underground funneled out to the street. You can see the damage on the existing driveway where all the water just keeps gushing down. It fills the whole street. In winter it freezes over, it cracks and wrecks the road. Also we have, in winter, that water gets on that gravel, freezes. My wife has fallen down and hurt herself. We've had other people injure themselves because of all the water that's around there. This will alleviate that water issue. So I'm seeking the area dimensional variance regarding the setback, which we've already talked to. 55 feet is a few feet beyond what the structure of what the dimension of the lot is. If you refer to the notes on table 6.4, which is for this ordinance, I have a copy of that. They speak of the 55-foot setback. And there's also a note here attached to it, note E, which reads, "The corner yard setback may be reduced where at least 50% of the front footage of any block is built up with principal structures. The corner yard setback for new structures shall be equal to the average of existing structures, except that any structure which is set back 20% or more or less than the average may be discounted from the formula. In no case shall the setback be less than 15 feet and shall only apply to the corner lots of 2 intersection right-of-ways." I did measure those setbacks, and they average out, and the entire Chicago Street structures average out to 16.6 feet. They're all within the 20% thing for the equation, so they all apply. And I'm looking for a 20-foot setback, which is about 20% further than the average is calling for. Practical difficulty, strict compliance would be unnecessarily burdensome for us. An example, complying with the 55 setback would put the garage in the neighbor's home. Granting the variance would do substantial justice to myself, the homeowner. Denying the variance would render this property unusable due to its current dimensions. Note these lot's dimensions were created prior to the passage of the zoning ordinance. This house is over 100 years old. And like I said, I've acquired this property in 2011. It's been that long that I've been trying to get a garage going here. I spoke to several of my neighbors, 2 on Chicago Street and 2 up Jackson. I showed them my plan, which you saw there. They all wanted to write comments. I have comments from all of them. You're welcome to read all those.
I assume they're all supportive.
They are. Some of them are a little more wordy than, but they more or less don't care.
And your proposal here is the garage on, the frontage on Jackson. Is that farther back than the front of the house next door? And I'm not talking about
Yes, it
just
is.
the porch, but the actual house itself?
Yes, it is.
So it starts further in than that. Can you just tell me what the parking situation is there with the 2 driveways? Because it looks like the west side of the garage with the wider driveway is the primary entrance, and I'm assuming you're gonna have like 2 stalls there, but you also have another driveway on the other side, and what's that for, and how's that work?
I'm currently in possession of 3 vehicles and a boat, and one of my vehicles is a truck. I use it to move the boat. I parked the 2 cars on the west side driveway. They come in and turn the corner and go in. But as far as the boat and the truck, I would like to use the Jackson Street entrance so I could pull in and utilize that section of the garage to store those 2 vehicles. The nice thing about the garage too is that I get those vehicles off the street. I've got, lawn equipment sitting in the backyard. It almost looks like a junkyard. Not quite, but almost. And I really want to clean it up so that it has a pleasing appearance. And I guess that's why I'm going with that size.
And so just clarifying, Paul, the only variance needed here is the setbacks, because the impervious surface and size and everything else is okay?
Checks out, yes.
I did all the impervious calculations, and I'm all good with that. Yeah.
Okay.
There's currently, it looks like 2 driveway entrances. Are you going to reconstruct those? into
Yes,
one?
this first driveway that you see, the cement one, was the original driveway from the building, the house that sat on that lot originally. It caught on fire and they raised it, but they never tore that out. And as soon as I acquired that property, Tim Mees, the city inspector, came by and said that I have 2 driveways, I have to have one gone. But I always wanted to get rid of this gravel driveway anyway, because like I said, it's just a water channel, is all it amounts to. So that entire driveway is gonna disappear. The only driveway that's gonna exist on the Chicago street side is gonna be the 25-footer.
Okay.
And that, as the maximum, I believe the ordinance allows, is 25 feet. And the reason I'm going wider with that is because I want to come in and make the turn. And then I'm going all the way to the house, again, so that I can raise that up and keep the water off of that area there. But that is not going to be a designated parking area. I'm going to have, the mini storm is going to come underneath that and pop up somewhere in the back of the house. And I'm putting patio doors out there. We might get like a retractable awning or something similar to that, a couple of chairs out there, So it wouldn't be driveway, that last 10 feet from the house where the cars are parked now. That would be more of a patio situation as opposed to a driveway.
Sure.
Well, there's no again, forgive me if I missed this, they're 2 separate lots?
They were 2 separate lots
So
at
they
one
joined?
point. They've been joined into one lot.
Copy, okay.
Yeah, the one tax parcel, it's a flag-shaped lot almost.
Yes, it's an L-shaped lot.
Yep.
Yep. Any other questions for the?
No, but just for the record, although I didn't visit this property, I work kitty corner from it, so I see it every day.
Oh, okay. Oh, you must work at Neighborhood Works?
Yeah, Neighbor Works, yeah.
Any other? Someone like, any other questions for the applicant?
No, I don't have any questions.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to add that, I just want to say, public interest would be enhanced by this project, because it will clean up the area, the clutter that's around there, so I believe that does enhance the public interest. The garage is going to be situated in a similar spot that the house was. It's going to look good. And then use of the clause in on table 6.4, use of that clause for that 20% or more or less setback, that doesn't poke fun at the clause. It supports it both in spirit and in intent. You know, it's written in there to be used, and I'm not looking to go outside of this, the ordinance itself, but I would like to make use of the clause that's written in the ordinance.
Very good, thank you. We have a gentleman that'd like to speak on,
Thank you. Bill Gelman, Gellerman for the Fourth
Okay.
District. I've been in contact with the gentleman here. I haven't had any negative comments at all from neighbors about this. I think his drawing is pretty, it's obvious that the garage is not going to be going past the front of either house on Chicago or Jackson Street. He's going to be cleaning up a property that was an eyesore. I was working the day it burned down. I was there. Good riddance to that place.
You saw the snake come out.
The snake, there was a 16-foot boa constrictor in the closet when the fireman went in and scared the crap out of him. So they were able to save that. But anyway, he's done a good job maintaining the property, cleaning it up. I know it's been a kind of a difficult struggle for him to get the process done. But I think he's correct. I think once it's done, it's going to enhance how the whole property looks as one unit. And I would hope that you guys could see your way to granting him this variance. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Anyone else that would like to speak for or against the requested variance? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna deliberate now. Gentlemen, what do you think?
Paul, just one question, the comment on that corner caveat in the ordinance, is that more talking about principal structures, or is that any structure?
Probably more principal structure.
Yeah, okay.
If these were attached, would that make a difference?
Would, yes.
Okay. And the existing house that burned down kind of sort of was in where that proposed garage is?
Right, you kind of see where the old lot line was, that
Yeah.
kind of dash line that runs up there. Very small lot.
Okay. So it's...
Yeah, actually, the original house might have even been closer to the corner in both
Okay.
dimensions than this is.
Okay. So something's been there before, all by itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Freestanding.
Well, there used to be a brewery there.
Oh, yeah.
That was.
You know, a century ago, the Van Dyke Brewery was there.
I mean, I'm in favor of it. I think it makes sense. I think this is a perfect example of lot dimensions, creating obstacles, and a vacant property that someone's trying to do something with. Made a great case, he's been extremely thorough with his thought process. He's taking out a bad driveway, putting in the work to make the property work with the new driveway. I think it's gonna help that whole situation out on a lot, so I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, I mean, he's working with, the original parcel is only 40 feet wide that his house is on, so he didn't really have any, and the way the lot developed, there's no way he could thread back behind the house to put a garage back there because of the configuration. So, picking up that lot, he can only develop there on that new property. So I think it makes sense as well. It seems like an awful lot of pavement to me, that's why I asked the question about impervious surface, but, I suppose there's still a lot of green space, but that's a big slab of concrete, but I also get it in terms of the way he's configured it by having it sideways instead of having the doors facing the street, which might have been a preferable option, move that thing over and, do it that way, but I'm not gonna design his site here.
Yeah, this is a side lot dimension issue. We get these quite a bit.
Even though I'm gonna have to look at it every day, so I hope it's really attractive.
I promise.
I tend to agree with this thing.
Okay.
So
We're in agreement.
I'll motion to approve the variance as requested.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Tommy to approve the variance, seconded by Noel.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's your variance, 4-0.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Just make sure to stop in our office for permits and all the other good stuff.
I will, I just talked to the contractor
Okay.
earlier today, we'll be in there.
Okay, real good, thanks.
All right, on to our last item on the agenda, Ryan and Naomi Parrott. This property at 816 Linford Avenue. Come up and make your case with Paul. If you'd like to give a
Sure,
little overview.
yeah, real quickly, again, single-family home, low-density residential district. Winford and Minahan. The issue is on Minahan, not Winford. There is an existing fence that, I'm not sure how it originated there, but it was there for several years.
That's all.
The fence was then improved or replaced, I guess, so we've got that setback issue of the fence being too tall within a front yard setback. I believe it's 6 feet tall, it's well within the setback, so again, you're looking at the 3, 4, 5 foot range as far as transparency. So the idea here is to retain, I believe, the fence as it is, as it was replaced, basically.
Okay. Would you like to make your case here?
Ryan and Naomi Parrott, 816 Winford Avenue. We bought the home at an existing fence. The existing fence was quite disheveled and coming apart. Both our animals were able to at least poke their heads through several boards, and we tried to kind of hold it up as much as we could by repairing it. Made the decision to replace the panels with the dog-eared, I just got a picture, that, and using the existing posts, and we saw it as a repair to the fence that was breaking down, to keep the animals in and to beautify the yard.
Okay, so the fence existing was the same height as the one you replaced with?
It was not.
Okay.
It was
exactly.
2 inches shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, the existing was 5'10", and the one we purchased was 6 feet.
Okay.
But 5'10" wasn't an approved height either.
Yeah, I'm not sure the history of the fence, if there's permits granted or not.
Okay. What type of fence was it, the existing one prior to this?
Oh, it's
The diamond.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Missed that.
Yeah, it's just scroll down.
Scroll down.
It's further in.
So all the barely
Okay.
1 inch that crisscrosses it just fell out, and there's no support behind it, so the dog just, pushes his nose right through.
Okay.
There you go. So the new fence is in exactly where the old fence was?
Yes.
Okay.
It was just
Took
the
a panel
fence
down,
panels
put another panel
that
up.
you can get at Menards. So, yeah, it's
Oh,
just
okay, so you
6
just-
screws to, take it off, 6 screws to put it on.
Okay.
All the fence posts were there. I mean, everything was there. We just simply took off the old decrepit panels and
Did you
put
get
on.
a citation
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
pointing
Was it a
out the
complaint or a
variance, or
citation?
how did this come to?
Apparently there was
Anonymous.
an anonymous complaint filed. I've got 4 of our neighbors here. So I'm not really sure where the complaint came
They
from.
got some troublemakers. So, so you get a notification from inspection saying you've got a fence that's a violation of code, and you look into it and realize that one of your options is to come here and petition to keep the fence as you've replaced the old fence, which was pretty much the same size except 2 inches shorter and more beat up. Correct. Okay.
Well, the old fence would have been in violation too, right?
Right.
If the person would have complained.
It would have been considered non-conforming, you could maintain it, I suppose, but if it's a wholesale change, then that becomes the issue.
Oh.
So you could replace a board or 2 if you had to, obviously, but the entire panels were changed to give it basically a new.
Well, we don't know whether actually that old fence was ever permitted, right?
We
It could have
don't
just
know.
been, could have just
Oh,
been
we can't
built and
see
nobody
that?
ever did anything about it.
Like
Well,
a variance
if
was
we had-
granted for that fence?
But we'd have to go back and look, or even if there was a permit granted for that,
And it was existing when we bought it, so we don't, I guess it never dawned on us that it wouldn't be, that this would be a problem.
Sure, that's usually what happens before we
Which is understandable. Greg, somebody in the back is raising their hand, like maybe they got something to add to a particular point that's being talked about here.
Okay.
Hi.
Would you like to speak, would you identify yourself by name and address, please?
Debbie Hamilton, 822 Winford Avenue. I live on the opposite, right next door to the property. I can speak to the history of the fence. Actually, it was an individual who had, I went to work in the morning and there were a few cars around, and by the end of the day, when I returned home, surprise, there's a fence. It was secondhand, from what I understood, and it has been falling apart since day one. So it was never in compliance. It was put up by people's families, members, and it was just, it's been a mess since day one. Yeah, it wasn't these people.
Thank you. I'm gonna continue with your, anything else to add? You don't have to.
No.
How much did you spend replacing this fence?
About $900.
Better.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
There's a lot of dog lockers in our neighborhood, and every single person that's gone by has complimented the fence, so.
It just stands out because it's all shiny.
It's brand new, yeah.
And
The
it
other
is,
one was
it
quite
is
gray.
the treated wood, so we're not going to, nor do we need to do any type of finish on it. It'll naturally weather.
Well, how much farther back would it need to go to be in compliance? Do you have the?
Probably back to the house itself.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it's, would even,
I mean, even with that, maybe even further back, possibly,
okay,
based on the positioning of the other home.
basically make a fence a no-go, right?
Right.
Yeah.
For 6 foot high, what about a 3 foot?
3 foot would be acceptable in that
acceptable,
location,
right
right?
there.
Right, so you can take off 3 feet of that fence as it was replaced, there would be compliant.
Yeah, okay.
I tried to include some pictures from a little back, so you could kind of see that even with the fence where it is, it's not impeding visibility with the corner traffic or pedestrians.
Right. It's far back enough from the road, is what you're saying?
Right.
That's these.
Right, yes. So those, the one you were just on was from the middle of Winford, looking down Minahan. And then, kind of little off to the side, so more of an angle view.
Questions of the applicant?
I don't have any more questions.
No, I don't have
Tom? No. Okay. Any, Mr. Alderman, would you like to speak?
I don't know, should we wait for all the comments? I mean, I could speak now or wait.
I think-
Neighbors first.
Oh,
Or
yes.
however you want to do it.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, Mr. Alderman. You want to wait for the comments?
Yeah, if there's other folks that want to speak.
Okay. Anyone else would like to speak on for or against?
Yeah, I'm here to support my neighbors.
Could you identify yourself, name and address, please,
Yeah,
for the record?
Joshua Stamps, 810 Winford. I'm like on the corner lot right across the street, so when I
Okay.
walk out the back door, I see the fence, basically. But yeah, from a outdated standpoint, it's definitely better condition. It definitely looks nicer. I don't really see any issue with it personally, but that's why I was here to support them. That's about all
Thank
I
you.
can comment on.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak?
Jill Hopkins. I actually live on 1132 Minahan, right next door. And I would say that I don't really see a problem with the fence. I think it's nice to live in a neighborhood where people care about their property and try to make updates and make things look nicer. And I have heard several people walk by and say it looks a lot better than it did. So I'm definitely in support of it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Again, Debbie Hamilton, 822 Winford, next door neighbor. I would like it to go all the way around because the side facing me is same condition as a pet.
We would like to go all the way around, but
We'll
this
get
kind of
there.
breaks the whole thing, so. The backside is still the old disheveled fence, but when they're like, you can't do that
Between
fence
our
at
two
all,
houses.
we stopped.
Yeah, we kinda,
So we actually do have more panels in the garage, but we stopped.
Anyone else like to talk?
Can you return the panels?
Not the ones that I put holes in with the screws, but the
And
ones
in
that
the
I have
garage?
left in the garage. I could return that, yes,
we have 2 in the garage right now.
May I ask a theoretical question?
certainly.
Do you have a desire to keep it because you installed it or because of its use? So, for example, financially, if you were able to take the panels that you haven't used, bring them back, pull out the post and make the fence comply, is that an option? Does that make sense? Because it sounds like you put it in because you were just replacing what was there.
Right, but we have 2 young children and a dog. So it is really nice to be able to, my son just turned 4. He's old enough to go outside, but not old enough to go outside. So if you stay in the back, stay in the gate, it's, I know he's good, because at least he's in the fenced-in part of the yard. I'm not worried about him running out in the street or anything. So, we did replace it because it was there, but only because it was decrepit and falling apart. But, we really do use it for fence-in properties.
Okay.
Mr. Alderman?
Thanks all. Alder Stoyer, I'm in that district area, so I've talked to the Parrots, I've talked to Deb Hamilton. Peg's here as well, she's a neighbor 2 doors down, north of that. I also talked to Brenda Seidel, and I was gonna ask Paul if you had talked to her at all about this property.
I don't recall talking to her, no.
Okay. So I was trying to gather as much data as I could on this particular project, and granted, the fence does look nice. They did a nice job with that. It's a corner lot, so they're limited a little bit with space. According to Brenda, it sounded to me like that the original fence that was built in, Deb, what year was that when that went in roughly?
It's been at least 4 or 5 years before.
Before. So the fence has been up there for a while, and to me, according to Brenda, it sounded to me like there was not a permit for that fence. So it's kind of a unique situation where now the owners are here and they're replacing it on the same footprint as the old fence, but the old fence didn't have a permit. So I think that's one of the issues. But I don't know if I can just point it out too, because I took some pictures as well, and where Deb lives over here, and I'll have to talk to you about that too, Deb. But so you got the fence, coming here and up here like this, but on this side, it's still the old fence. And weren't you talking about not being able to get to some of your plants, like the lilac bushes? There's a bit of a hardship on your end trying to get back there?
It was built right on the line, if I understand it correctly. And my garage is approximately 2 feet off of the line, and it does create some mobility issues as far as me getting to my backyard on that side of the garage. I do have a hedge of lilacs that runs from my garage all the way to the back lot line, and
Along that stretch?
yeah, and
I have a picture on my phone.
to weed out on their side is not convenient with the fence line as it is. But I do believe the ordinance actually says that you can have the fence on the line.
That's right. So with that being said, I don't know, I haven't really talked to Ryan and Naomi about that, but was there some thought of putting something up on this side or not?
Well, yeah, it was gonna be a complete project.
Complete project.
Until the brakes were put on, we're like, hey, nothing's right here.
And I know that you have some of the old fence back there too, and that is an issue as well, as far as making sure that's cleaned up, et cetera. The city doesn't take that per se, so you'll have to figure that out.
It's deemed construction material.
So I don't know, it's kind of a interesting conundrum. You know, you've got a couple things going on. You have an old fence that wasn't permitted according to Brenda Seidel. And then this one was replaced. So to me, it's kind of a two-edged sword. It sounds to me that you have to have a permit to build a fence. So if you have something that's existing already and they come in and just replace it, you still need to have a permit, I guess. So my big thing would be to have some of that stuff cleaned up in the back. If there's a way that they could build the fence on this side, you know, to complete it. Because I personally, it's attractive. They did a nice job on that. It is 6 foot high. I measured, they said 36 inches or 3 feet. It was like 33 for me, but close to the 3 feet on the side. And then, whoops, it's easy. I'm older now. It was like 3 feet here and about 5 feet here. So Paul, as far as, if it was a 3 foot, then it'd be all right. But I think one of the issues is you have a 4-year-old and you have a dog that probably could leap the fence, right? So these are the little issues that come up. So as far as Deb, you don't see this per se from your house. It's on this side. So I don't know. I mean, you've had support from the other neighbors as well. I would opt to see them get all that refuse from the previous fence, get that out of there, clean that up. And if there's a way to extend this project all the way around. It is 6 foot. The old one was 5'10". The only picking point or crutch for me is the fact that it wasn't a permitted fence to begin with. And they just replaced that. So should they be penalized for that? Right. I defer to the committee on that, but it's, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So, to that point, how many feet did you add? Or how many feet did you replace? Linear feet, roughly?
64.
Okay, so anything over 50 feet you need a permit for. So we'd ask at a minimum to come into our office on 6th floor and apply for a fence permit. Chances are you might get double feed because you did work without a permit. But it's $100, basically, you'd have to come in. So anything with just that portion of the fence, or if you go around the yard, you'd have to come in for a fence permit.
Even on the other side of the yard? Oh, yeah, because it's more than the 50 feet.
Yeah, right. So you have to think about, well, do you want to package it all together and do what you did already plus the other side? Or treat them as two separate projects, it's up to you. But I guess what's before the committee today is just the initial frontage on Minahan.
Right, it's certainly anything that they might want to do on the back lot line, or the inside lot line, or short of that or whatever, that's certainly, they can put a 6 foot fence back there,
Yep.
right? You know, that's, as long as it's not going in front of the house towards Winford, right? So, so that is, you know, when it comes out from, you know, the house, it goes to the lot line and goes back to the garage, or, you know, however they do that, but that's something they can work out with their neighbor, I think. I think the key thing for us here is you know, the stuff between the garage and the house at the sidewalk. I don't have any other questions for the petitioners.
Okay. Any other question?
I don't. No, no, for the petitioners.
Okay.
Thank you. So the challenge, I think, here is that, you know, we've got somebody who is trying to improve something that's existing, right? And they're like, okay, I got a fence here, it's falling down, I'm gonna fix my fence. That seems like a natural, normal thing for a homeowner to think. Granted, even with the length they've got, yeah, that should have been a permitted fence already. And then they would have gotten oh, no, that's not, you can't do a fence that big there, and they would have figured this out before doing it.
Regardless, they may have showed up here.
Right.
Somebody would have showed up.
Right. But at the same time, you know, looking at this, and even if you were fixing pieces of it, you know, as you went along, I mean, thinking about, oh, you know, I'll do this when I can afford it or whatever, that was a non-conforming fence, I believe, you know, unless you've got some evidence to the contrary, I think. And so the previous owner wasn't held, you know, to the code, and now a subsequent owner is doing something. Now, granted, us saying, well, that's okay, you know, isn't necessarily making a situation right, but you know, it is one of those circumstances where why wasn't this dealt with in the years and years that existed before a new fence went in? And you know, can we say it's okay in this case, you know? But I could certainly make that a 3-foot fence, right? I mean, a little Sawzall action, and you can go just midway and make that off, and then just cut new dog ears on the things. But I get what the petitioner is saying with regard to pets and things like that. And again, this is a classic, you know, if we looked at all the petitions that we see for variances and counted how many of them were on corners versus not on corners, I mean, it's got to be 75% of them are on corner lots, right? It's just, corners don't work right. They're always getting something, you know. They're getting the short end of the stick. They get unrealistic side yard setbacks that can't be possibly met with the garage. They got no place to have their backyard because they got no backyard. It's always front or side, you know. And so, we know this is the spot we find ourselves in. I'm torn because although it's an attractive fence, it looks too tall to me visually. It looks too tall, and I wanna make it shorter. But at the same time, I don't want to penalize somebody who is trying to make an improvement to a property and a situation that the neighborhood itself had let exist for years. You know, and then now they fix it up, and now the neighborhood or aspects of the neighborhood are telling them they can't. I don't like that.
That's maybe the unique circumstances that what you're saying is that they try to make it better, and now they're getting, you know, I did make it better.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different setbacks to look at. One is obviously relationship to the street and in the front yard setback. The other one is the vision triangle. That's always in play. There is a setback, a 15-foot setback that relates to alleys and driveways, and that would apply here as well. So in theory, there should be a 15-foot setback. It's kind of like doing a triangle, 15 feet this way, 15 feet this way, and connecting the 2 points should create an unobstructed view for the motorist. In this case, there's only 1 or 2 cars, I suppose, backing out, but still, the pedestrian won't really have a chance. I mean, that's again a reason why those fences are 3, 4, and 5. 3 foot solid, 4 foot 50%, 5 foot 80%, to give that transparency, certainly along front yard setbacks. This could present an issue for visibility. You know, I can't predict that, but just to make you aware that that is a requirement of the ordinance, that there's a vision triangle.
What's the speed limit? Is it 25 miles an hour?
25.
Okay. And then that offset, I think you're talking about, would be on the right side of that red car, because you can't drive from that red car out. You'd have to somehow angle it over to get into the driveway.
I think that's right. I'm not sure even about that slab, if that was approved, but I mean, yeah, they have to turn back into that driveway.
That's your next letter.
Yeah. I'm not trying to raise another issue, but I think the problem is backing out and having pedestrians come. Depending on the rate of speed and who's sidewalk, maybe you don't quite see them.
Yeah.
If that fence is lower, maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I would argue that given where the driveway, the curb cut is actually in the driveway, that there is a 15-foot
or almost
triangle or darn near, right? That's not an accurate depiction of the curb cut there.
Right. There's a car parked under that tree.
Yeah, but it can't pull straight out to the street.
You can't pull straight out. No.
So that's another 9 feet wide, you know, at least right there.
I mean, if you try and use the scale here, you've got probably another 8, 9 feet, you know, added to the 5 feet
added to
there.
the 5. So I'm sure it's you know, if it's not 15, it's darn close.
But the point's taken. That's why I asked the speed limit. If it's 25, well, okay.
But it's a speed limit. It's also pedestrian.
And I think it's also a good point for the pedestrian thing too, though. So they've got some distance.
Paul, can you go to the bird's eye, like, computer drawing for a second?
Can't access that real quickly unless...
This one?
Oh, that one? Sure. I thought you meant street view or something.
No, just this one. Can you just visually for me again, it's theoretical, it's not gonna be exact, but like a conforming solution? Knowing setbacks and stuff like that, like would it come straight off the house here and then go back in theory?
Right, so
So just bringing that front wall back?
again, I believe as a 6-foot fence, the setback roughly is where the front of the dwelling is, so that would have to go back.
Yep, and then it can come straight over and go straight back, or would it have to go angled?
You mean here?
Yep.
This should all be 3-foot solid to this point here.
Yep, but the one that's going alongside parallel to the driveway, that can stay exactly where it is.
Once it's past the house, with the setback, it would be 6 feet.
So to make this work, those pieces come out, move it back to the side of the house, everything else can stay,
Sure.
right? And it's conforming. The one that's going now perpendicular to the driveway, no problems there?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can move the fence or you can cut the fence. I mean, there's two simple, well, not simple, but there's two options there.
Yeah.
Where does the 4-foot fence, is somewhere in between?
A 4-foot, 50%. So I guess you could remove boards as well. I mean, you could cut it and you could remove boards to open it up as well. I mean, chain link would give you the most option, I guess, as far as transparency. 3-foot solid board on board is very more difficult.
I mean, how far back would you have to go with a 4-foot? A 6-foot is all the way back to the house, but
4-foot solid, or?
yeah, 4 foot, like this, like that.
Anytime it's solid, it would have to be behind any setback. It would have to be
Oh,
behind the home.
oh, so that would be back to the house too. So only a 3-foot wall.
Only 3-foot solid,
Okay, gotcha.
or 4-foot, 50%, or
Okay.
5-foot, 80%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's kind of a graduated scale.
I gotcha.
Right, and that, it actually like promotes putting a 5-foot tall chain link fence up against our sidewalks in a residential neighborhood, which I think is
Aesthetically not
absolutely
great.
not what we should be doing on a streetscape, from a streetscape perspective, but, yeah, that's the ordinance, right? There's a lot of ways my brain wants to pick and shovel at this, but I keep coming back to the fact that we got homeowners who are trying to make improvements on something that had been in that neighborhood for years, and they're on a corner lot, they don't have a lot of options, and my inclination is to approve the variance as requested. And just ask that maybe, or make a condition on them getting the old fence sections removed, you know, that are stored or whatever back there.
Well, if I interject, you were talking about the safety issue, you know, you got the driveway cut, and then, I guess I didn't really notice it as well, but when you are backing out, I could see that being a bit of an issue, but if you had the car pointed, you know, the front end pointed toward the street, would that, I don't know if you can really put stipulations on something like that, but I'm just looking at it from the safety issue.
Yeah, but
You could see it better, and I
the
think the
point is,
parents
though,
might agree. I don't
the
know.
point is, though, that this car parked here can't pull back straight to the
Right.
street, you know? This has to come out this way, and
So
so
it's
by
a
the
two-way
time they're here,
Right.
they're able to see down the sidewalk, and they're not gonna run over,
Right.
run over.
I'm just saying, if the car was turned around, you could turn it easily,
Oh,
and you could
yeah.
also see the oncoming traffic,
Sure.
whether it's pedestrian or vehicular. So, anyway, that's just a point.
I struggle with these because it feels punitive in a lot of ways to the person who's just trying to like, oh, there's a fence there, let me replace it. And it makes, really struggle with the idea of like, well, I can replace pieces of a non-conforming fence.
Sure.
But when I change the whole thing, all of a sudden now I'm not in compliance.
So, I'm sorry, so in theory, it's not conforming, right? So there's kind of a 50% threshold, we go over that.
Correct.
Replace the board 1 for 1 up to about X number, right? So maintenance is one component, this is a wholesale changing.
Correct. So I just struggle with these because for me, if I'm a homeowner, I do that and I'm unaware of this process or how cities work or all of that stuff, which we see all the time. My heart hurts. I'm like, that's a horrible situation. I think for me in this situation, I go back to the training, that we went through it, and I feel my role on the board is to say, okay, cool, are there solutions? Is the property itself not allowing a conforming solution. And I think the benefit too, for me right now, is that because there's not even a financial hardship, I shouldn't say there's not even, there's a way to get out of this and get it conforming. And it might mitigate some of the financial impact of having the whole project completed. There are other pieces that might be able to recoup some of the investment, use those pieces, move it back, remove those fence posts, and actually it's not gonna be as big of a yard, and I can appreciate that. I have kids too. But I think as a board, our job is to look at the code, understand why it's there, take the heartfelt piece out of it, and look at the property, not the use of the property in a sense, but look at the property and how the person's trying to use it. Does the property allow the proper use of that? And I think this property does allow that. And so for me, I'm leaning towards more no, even though it hurts me to say that, but I think there's a solvable solution here, and get what shouldn't have happened, with someone putting in something incorrectly, getting it right. And so these are those tough ones for me, but I just feel like that to me is where I feel like my role on the board should be.
Tommy, you're saying that they just took out the stuff that's up at the sidewalk and went straight from the front corner of the house, for example, where the driveway, that would fix it, and they would be able to reuse the sections they've got.
I mean, I'm not a construction guy, but it sounds like there's
It looks like
pieces
that too, yeah.
and they could recoup, like that always makes me sad too, is money, is spent, again, there's no ill intent happening right now, but I think there are options to rectify this and get it right, and that's where I'm leaning towards right now.
Just another point, I mean, if, for example, it's a 6-foot fence, and you were talking about 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, and 80%, what is it at 5 foot, Paul, as far as?
80%.
80%. I mean, just looking at what's existing, is there a way to look at that fence and see, is there a way to adjust that somehow? I hate to say it, trim it, but, and add that 80% to the top? Or is there something that could be done with the fence as is to make it site corrective?
80% see-through means that you're removing enough boards that the dog and the kid are gonna be able to squeeze through.
I know, I'm just trying to think outside the box here, I don't know.
Or you could ask for alternative, you can have that choice as well, if you're not comfortable.
What are you thinking?
Well, I have a real pet peeve about someone buying a property and then doing what they think is right and dealing with what the geometry have, and they find out, oh, the previous property owner didn't cover the base, and then they're left holding the bag. We've run across this a couple of times, and I'm always siding with the petitioner that they're trying to do the right thing, and it's not their fault. And I know it runs against the established rules, but the fact that there has been no safety issues, the fact there has been no complaints,
There has been a complaint, because that's what led to.
Well, okay, well, there has been a complaint about it sticking out. If they would get a permit for this fence, if that was a condition of approval, and if we would also include at the end of the project that everything be cleaned up, I would be voting for that if that was a condition. That's where I'm at.
Well, somebody's either gotta make a motion to deny and see what happens, or make a motion to approve and see what happens.
I'm concerned about, again, I don't think there's any ill intent, obviously. You're doing what's right and you've got needs and so forth, but I have a real concern when Paul brought up that safety. I understand there's a gap there, but just thinking about someone being in that sidewalk or kid or whatever it is, it's a pretty tall fence. I mean, it does look high, like Noah, you were saying, in comparison to that house. And yeah, I think I'm siding right now with Tommy, even though I don't want to, but I just siding with Tommy there. And my thought would be to see if they would consider some alternatives here, and
Yeah.
for us to look at, and maybe that's an option.
Yeah, hearing that, Greg, I mean, it sounds like we could be split, and if we're split on a vote, the petition fails, which would mean you gotta remove it or do whatever. So one of the things that we could do is maybe just table this and see if
sure.
the petitioners can take a look at this and see if there's another option that might make some sense or an alternative that works.
Is that something you would consider, wanting to come back and consider some alternatives that you might consider being okay with?
Well, I mean, either that or it sounds like it's gonna be a no.
Right.
Which
Comes
means
down completely.
Right, today. And then we have another.
Well, it just moves back.
You know,
It can work, you know what I mean?
It can, but then the way the house is set up, we'd let the dog out, the dog would just run. Because the
Because you
deck,
let them off the front porch.
the deck goes off into the yard.
And I'm not suggesting anything that would be a vote for us in the future, but for instance, somebody coming back and saying, hey, I'm moving the fence back not all the way to the house, but to the front edge of the porch so that I can still let the dog out the front door the way we've got it set up now, but it's further back from the sidewalk, and yeah, I know I'm gonna have to dig some new post holes and I might lose a post or two, but I can reuse the fence materials I've got. That might be something this group could hear and go, okay, that's something that we can do as a concession. But like I said, right now, it sounds like maybe you got 2 for and 2 against, and that's a no.
And how long would it be before I'd have to present a new plan?
You could come back next month.
Next month, Paul?
Yeah,
Would
next
that
month,
be-
yeah.
Yeah, or whenever, or as long as you need it. I mean, it doesn't have to be immediately if you need some time to work on it. I guess the thing is, if we say no, or if we vote to do it and it fails, you can't talk to us about it for a year.
Right.
So.
I'm worried about if we come back next month, we're already late November. How much, I mean, our hands are kinda tied at the end of November as for digging or undigging.
Right. I think that's
fences.
that's a detail you work out with the inspector. I mean, I think the first thing is working through the variance process. That's a route you've chosen, so you have to explore that first.
And any change or approval could be subject to wait until springtime when you can work on it or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you gotta comply immediately with it.
Right.
We've got the ability to say that.
May I just, again, I just sometimes don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I can be honest, what you were theoretically proposing,
Yeah.
like, I would entertain that. So there is an option on the table that if they're willing to say, well, let's amend our application right now, to say, we'll move it back to the deck, you know, and again, we're guessing at measurements, but like,
Yeah.
hey, we'll
Can you
move it
put
back.
that- can you put that up on the screen?
The bird's eye one?
So we're talking about the possibility of moving this back to here.
That keeps the dog.
But keeping the rest of, keeping everything else intact, but this section goes, and then the line can stay at the same height, but it goes here.
Yep, and we're still giving a variance because it's still not within
Because it's
the
still not
thing,
not
but
code, but
that would flip my vote, which then gets a yes.
I think it would for me to move it back enough where we're not even worried about that sideline.
But
I mean,
that's something you would
more
have to
work, but it's not,
consider.
it's not a deal, it's not a killer.
Right, so I mean, that is an option too, if you're saying, yeah, we're willing to move it back to that, at least the deck, you're still applying for a variance because it's not within the
It's
correct
still not.
setback, but for me, that makes use of the property, it takes safety concerns in, now we're looking instead of I don't know the exact measurements, but let's say 10 feet, you know, you're only worried about 4 feet, let's say, size of a deck, you know, my vote goes to yes on that, and now you've got a variance, but now you still have to agree to moving the fence. So we can still approve regardless of actually of what they,
Well, what their interests are.
what their interests are, and say, hey, listen, we're giving a variance up into the deck, and I can make a motion for that.
Take a shot at it, Tommy.
Does it have to be the deck? Can it be the first post? Because I don't think this lines up completely with this. Can I use this same first post to move these two back? Or does it have to be the deck? Is the deck the landmark, or can I use that post?
Would you be, I mean, again, we're guessing right now, but
Yeah,
would you be able to wager, like, is it a foot off, is it 3 feet off from where that post is to the deck?
Looks pretty close.
Can you do the picture where you can actually see it? So 6 feet, there's the post. I guess it would be close.
Yeah.
It would be close.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine.
Make a motion, Tom.
Make a motion.
Make a motion even if they're like, no, we're not gonna do this. I guess
Why
it doesn't
not?
matter, right?
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve amended variance to keep the 6-foot fence as long as it's moved back towards the first post. I don't know how to say it, but like whatever that first post is. that's
Parallel to
being
the sidewalk, but as far back as the first post.
as close to
of
the
driveway.
deck line as possible for a straight line. That's my motion.
Is that clear to everyone?
Clear enough.
Okay.
You,
And the debris cleared out and for the old
Yeah.
fence.
Yeah,
you guys can add that in.
okay. No edited in? Is that a?
Yeah.
is-
Yeah, I'll.
Re-motion it, then I'll second it, I guess. I don't see how that's part of this. I think it's an
Oh,
interesting.
it's just what we can do it, so
Okay.
the alderman brought it up, I thought it's something reasonable.
Oh, we'll add that in.
Thanks,
I'll hold it.
Okay. so
I'll
the-
second it.
Okay. We have a motion made by Tommy to approve the variance with the condition that the fence, would be, moved back.
Approximately
to the-
6 feet.
to 6 feet to
To be
the,
one fence.
to the post, the first post, is that what we said?
Yep.
Yep.
And, close to the deck, with also removing the, remnants of the old fence.
Right.
And that's been seconded by Noel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have the variance.
Thank you.
That's
Let's do
removing
that.
and replacing, or just removing? the remnants?
Removing.
Remove.
Oh, no, we're not talking about like the other fence. I
No,
think you're
that-
talking about there is like old sections of the
Yeah.
fence are stacked up in the backyard or something.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of the fence isn't done, and
Right.
after all this, that's probably not needed.
Would that be a separate matter?
No.
And they're just looking to clean up
Yeah,
that stuff, but
yeah.
I'm talking about on the other side of the house.
Yeah, they gotta figure that out with you
That's
guys.
separate.
That's a separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need to get a building permit to move this back now?
Yes. So I recommend stopping in our office whenever you can, talk to Peter, Chad at the counter, and we can help you through a fence permit, yes.
Then
But
get
the
a permit for the
variance-
whole
But
project.
they'll know about this, so
The
that
variance is already approved, correct? Because part of the permitting process would be to apply for the variance, but we kind of put the horse.
It's so-called conditionally approved. In theory, it's good for 30 days, but you can apply for a permit in that 30-day period and go ahead with finish up the project.
Get the permit. Don't touch it until we have the permit.
Make sure you have a
Okay.
permit in hand, and then you can go through and finish.
Okay, and how long is this, are we allowed to get this work done or this permit approved in?
Well, you'd want to do that, well,
In the dead of winter.
no, I mean, it's good for 1 year. The variance is good for 1 year, so you want to get the permit pulled within that 1-year period. In
Okay,
theory, it's good for another year, but you've got an issue of a complaint against the property, so you want to show the inspector that you're working through this quick fashion, I guess. So it's just would behoove you to just get the permits, do it as soon as you can to at least get compliance on what Brenda was looking for.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have closed the floor.
Yes, so, someone like to make a motion to close the floor?
A second.
Okay, we got a motion. Made by Noel, seconded by Jim, to close the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Date of next meeting is November 18, 2019, and anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion to adjourn made by Noel, seconded by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. On the fly, too. Like, oh, he's not here.